Hello and welcome to the old Fliers. In a recent video, I told the story of Irish woman Lillian Bland, the first woman to design, build and fly her own aircraft. She did this in August 1910. Zara Rutherford, the youngest female to fly solo around the world, credited Lillian Bland as one of her sources of inspiration. I confess to not knowing about Zara, so did some research. Solo around the world voyages by young people are not uncommon, whether by boat or aircraft. For instance, Australia has 3 young people who achieved solo, non-stop circumnavigation by yacht: David Griffiths-Dix, Jessie Martin and Jessica Watson. David Griffiths, in February 1996, at the age of 17, set out from Fremantle, West Australia in his family's 10-metre S&S 34 sloop named Seaflight. During his 9-month circumnavigation, he faced many challenges such as numerous knockdowns, bad weather, equipment failure and food poisoning. Because he accepted a bolt to fix his rig near the Falkland Islands, his circumnavigation was not considered unassisted. He returned safely to Fremantle in November 1996 amid great fanfare. David held the youngest assisted solo circumnavigation record for 13 years, from 1996 to 2009. By some accounts, he still holds the unofficial record for the youngest solo non-stop assisted circumnavigation. Jessica Watson captured the unofficial youngest age record in May 2010 with an unassisted solo circumnavigation, but her course did not meet the minimum orthodromic distance requirement of 21,600 nautical miles set by the World Sailing Speed Record Council. However, we are an aviation channel, so returning to Zara. Zara Rutherford was born in Belgium and comes from a long line of aviators. Her father, Sam, was a British ex-army helicopter pilot, and mother, Beatrice de Smet, a recreational pilot. Her father organised adventurous flying rallies and expeditions such as the Crete to Cape Vintage Air Rally, a crossing of the whole of Africa with vintage biplanes.
The challenge of endurance.
Every place we've been, we've had such enthusiastic local people.
Cities and names that you just read in books. Go to places that were just mystical.
This stretch was 250 nautical miles long, and that's about the absolute limit of our aircraft.
Pushed beyond what you would normally do.
When you're in the intertropical convergence zone, you are getting to your destination just as thunderstorms breaking.
She screamed because she could see these tiger moths.
I thought they were going to crash.
Yeah. He's like, I don't have the airport. Do you know where it is? I said, well, it can't be in here.
Great treasure of these countries has been the friendliness, the openness, and the beauty of the people.
As a young girl, Rutherford would accompany her parents on many flights, even for a crossing of Mozambique, sometimes flying part of the way herself. At the age of 14, she began training to become a pilot and gained her pilot's license in 2020. Zara and her brother Mack, also a world record holding pilot, have aviators in their family going back 5 generations. Her maternal grandfather and great-grandfather were private pilots, and her great-great-grandmother, Margaret Jean Thomas, was amongst the first South African women to learn to fly. In July 2021, at a press conference at Popham Airfield near Winchester, Rutherford announced her bid to become the youngest female pilot to fly solo around the world at the age of 19.
Right now I'm feeling a bit nervous. This is definitely not what I'm used to. So I'm very excited, and this is crazy, to be honest. And I'll miss my family, I'll miss my home, but I'm really excited, and this is something I'll never forget.
She aimed to break the record previously set by American pilot Shark.Aero, who achieved the record in 2017 at the age of 30. Aside from this record, she also attempted to break 2 other records: to become the first woman to circumnavigate the world in a microlight aircraft and the first Belgian to circumnavigate the world solo in a single-engined aircraft. The record-breaking attempt was also meant to raise awareness about the gender gap in fields like science, technology, engineering and mathematics, we know it as STEM, and aviation, and to inspire more women and girls to be involved in STEM fields study. Her attempt was supported by main sponsor ICD Soft, a Bulgarian web hosting service, Richard Branson's Virgin Group, Belgian startup Safe Sky, and Dutch staffing and recruitment company TMC Group. She also partnered with charities Girls Who Code and Dreams Soar, which aim to inspire and help women and girls to enter into STEM fields. Rutherford began her solo attempt in Belgium from this airport on 18th of August 2021 aboard a Shark ultralight aircraft, which was loaned to her by the Slovakian manufacturer Shark.Aero. From this airport, she flew to Popham Airfield, where she spent an hour before flying to Wick in Scotland via Aberdeen. The following day, she landed in Reykjavik in Iceland after a 5-hour flight. Rutherford made stops in Greenland, Canada, the east coast of the United States, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, British Virgin Islands, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico, the west coast of the United States, and the US state of Alaska. After arriving in Nome, Alaska on the 30th of September 21, she was forced to wait a week for her Russian visa to be renewed. By the time her passport arrived back from the Russian consulate in Houston, Texas, the weather had turned bad and she had to wait another 3 weeks before she could cross the Bering Strait, time spent in part carrying out maintenance. On the 1st of November 2021, she finally reached Anadryi, Russia, the halfway point of her journey. From there, she flew to Magadan on the following day, and on the 9th of November, she stopped at Ayan, a town with only 800 people, none of whom spoke English, and which had no Wi-Fi service, where she was stuck again due to a winter storm. She finally reached Khabarovsk on the 30th of November and Vladivostok on the 2nd of December. After flying from Russia on the 11th of December 2021, Rutherford intended to make stops in China, but because of the country's strict COVID-19 restrictions, she was forced to make a detour over the Sea of Japan and fly to South Korea instead. During the 6-hour flight, she had difficulty contacting air traffic controllers in Seoul, and she sought the help of a KLM commercial pilot who forwarded her messages to air traffic control and helped her find the correct frequencies. She landed in Gimpo on the same day. On the 13th of December, she departed for a stop at Muan before flying the following day to Taipei in Taiwan. On the 16th of December, Rutherford landed in Clark, Pampanga in the Philippines. She intended to make a second stop in Dumaguete, but had to fly the following day to Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia, so as to avoid the approaching Typhoon Rai. From Kota Kinabalu, she made stops in Ketapang and Jakarta in Indonesia and Seletar in Singapore. During the flight to Banda Aceh on the 27th of December, she flew too close to a thunderstorm and saw lightning bolts some 3 kilometres from her. After Banda Aceh, she made stops in Colombo, Sri Lanka and Coimbatore in India. After stopping for the new year in Mumbai, Rutherford began 2022 with stops in El Ain in the United Arab Emirates and in Riyadh and Tabuk in Saudi Arabia, where she was welcomed by Saudi Prince and former pilot and astronaut Sultan bin Salman Al Saud. After a stop in Alexandria in Egypt on the 8th of January 2022, she arrived at Heraklion on the Greek island of Crete for another stop. Rutherford made stops in Sofia, Bulgaria on the 14th of January 2022, in Senica, Slovakia, and in Benslov, the Czech Republic on the 16th of January. She landed at Frankfurt Engelsbach Airport, Germany on the 19th of January. Arriving back at her home base on the 20th of January 2022, she completed a circumnavigation of the world and landed at the same airport from which she began the trip. On the 23rd of March 2022, Zara's younger brother Mack Rutherford, at the age of 16, began his own around-the-world trip in an ultralight aircraft. He became the youngest person to fly around the world 5 months later when he arrived at his starting point of Sofia on the 24th of August to break the Guinness World Record, previously held by compatriot Travis Ludlow. On the 12th of September 2022, the Honourable Company of Air Pilots announced that, jointly with her brother Mack, she had been awarded the Masters Medal in recognition of her amazing feat of flying and endurance. In 2023, the Royal Automobile Club's Seagrave Trophy was also presented to her and her brother Mack, the youngest people to fly around the world. The trophy is awarded to the British national who demonstrates outstanding skill, courage and initiative on land, water and in the air, and is named in honour of Sir Henry Seagrave, the first person to hold both the land and water speed records simultaneously. Truly, the Rutherfords are a gifted family with the right sponsorships to make things happen. Both Zara and Mack have impressive websites. Apologies for the mispronunciations of the place names. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to encourage new content.